One thing that any parent will tell you is that as the family grows, the house seems to shrink. But having seen the tiny house movement, we now know that creative storage solutions can go a long way in giving you back some space by optimizing the real estate you have. So with that, I was commissioned to produce a floating shelf for 2 rooms by some very special clients. For carpentry projects, I generally start with a sketch using just pen and paper. Then I begin to build. Once the build is complete, I'll take the design to a digital program. When I build it digitally, I'll make improvements to the design that I had just built. And that design is available for you at freethoughtinnovations.com. You can download a digital model for free to virtually check it out in your own space. So with that, let's grab our lumber, head back to the shop, and get started on this project. With any power tool, always wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from dust and debris. If you're going to use a miter saw, it is important to take the necessary safety precautions to prevent injury. Make sure to never cross your arms, never wear long sleeves, or loose clothing that could get caught in the saw. Make sure to always use a sharp blade, as cutting with a dull blade can increase your risk of injury. If your miter saw has a radial arm, lock it in place if you do not need it to travel for your project. The animation of the build for the larger of the 2 shelves featured in this video helped show which part of the build we are on. The full animation is included as a part of the digital plans package online. When using a spade bit, it's a good idea to flip the piece over at the midpoint so one side does not end up with a burr that will require unnecessary filler work later on. This ensures I'll have a good looking finished product for the client. When it comes to screwing wood together, there are 2 tools I appreciate: 90-degree clamps and this tapered drill bit with a countersink. It prevents the wood from splitting, can be set to the right depth, and provides a flush finish for the screw without squeezing the wood. You may notice that the design is somewhat interlocking for added strength. These 1x4s along the back are a critical piece that span across the entire shelf, as they allow me to drill anywhere within the shelf to ensure I connect to multiple studs during the installation later. With the main structure complete, it was time to trim. Here you'll notice I switched to using a circular saw and a square, proof that you don't need a miter saw to complete every project. Yeah, it happens. I make mistakes too. This is the point where a project transforms. I've watched this a million times editing, but I'll be quiet for this part so we can enjoy it together. So this is the primer that I'm rolling on, with a final coat of white trim paint to come via an airless sprayer at the end. I wanted the finish to be from that of an airless sprayer, but you could achieve a similar result with sanding between brush layers or going with a stain. But because I want to be a safety conscious YouTuber, it's important to me that I mention that airless sprayers are no joke. If thinking about one, make sure you always have the time to review the operator's manual before using it. After closing the lid on this project, it was time for install. Here I needed to use my stud finder to locate the studs. For the smaller shelf, I wanted to make sure I screwed into 2 studs with 4 screws, and in the larger shelf, 3 studs with 5 screws. Both shelves I was able to install on my own, with the larger one being slightly more challenging to get the first screw in place. Before moving into the shelves, I used a paintable caulk to fill the holes over the screws and then touched up with trim paint after. With the project cleaned up and completed, it was time for the client-daughter reveal. And no, jumping on the bed, regardless of the circumstance, is not allowed in our house. with maybe one or two exceptions. While the floating shelf project has been fun, it's time for me to get back to the trim project on the house. Let me know if you learned something new in the comments below, or if there's something you'd like for me to cover in future videos, whether that be safety, the tools I use, or maybe my favorite brands. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing or checking out my website at freethoughtinnovations.com. From my shop to yours, this is Eric's Mark, and thank you for watching.